The Stoics taught that the wise often walk alone, not because they reject others, but because they refuse to betray their peace. If you've spent long periods of your life in solitude, it may not be loneliness. It may be mastery. In a world addicted to noise and approval, few people develop the rare traits that silence demands. Here are 5 of those traits, the same ones that made Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus stand apart from the crowd. When Seneca wrote that, "No one can live happily who has regard to himself alone, and yet no one can live happily who does not have regard to himself," he described the paradox of solitude, the balance between self-sufficiency and connection. The Stoics believed that solitude is not isolation but clarity, a chance to observe your own mind without distraction. So if you often find yourself walking alone, not because you want to, but because you can't seem to relate to most people, perhaps your mind is operating on a deeper level than you realize. Let's explore the 5 rare Stoic traits that explain why people like you often have few but meaningful friendships. Trait 1. You refuse to wear a mask. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." This principle is unbearable to most people. The world thrives on masks, on pretending, flattering, and performing. But you have a radar for falseness. You sense manipulation, ego, and hidden motives within seconds, and your instinct is to step away. This isn't antisocial behavior, it's clarity. When you see how often people lie to appear kind, how often they pretend to care to gain validation, you naturally prefer silence to pretense. You would rather be alone with truth than surrounded by hypocrisy. The Stoics called this integritas, living in alignment with what is true even when it isolates you. Epictetus warned that if you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. That means you might lose social approval, but you'll gain peace of mind. And that peace, once earned, is something no crowd can give you. Trait 2. You only connect through depth. You don't avoid people, you avoid shallowness. Small talk exhausts you. You crave conversations that explore the soul, meaning, virtue, purpose, and human behavior. In a Stoic sense, you seek logos, the rational, divine order of the world. When others gossip, you analyze. When they chase pleasure, you question meaning. You are not rejecting people. You're rejecting distraction. Seneca said, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." To you, this isn't just advice. It's survival. Because meaningless interactions don't just bore you, they drain your spirit. You long for people who can talk about truth, growth, and peace. And until you find them, you're content walking alone, because silence is better than empty noise. When your soul seeks depth, the surface becomes unbearable. That's why you might appear distant or detached. But in truth, you're simply waiting for a connection that resonates with your essence. Trait 3. Your mind needs solitude to recover. Not all minds process life in the same rhythm. Some are like sponges, absorbing every emotion, every word, every gesture. This sensitivity is not weakness, it's awareness. And awareness, as the Stoics taught, demands stillness. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." For you, solitude isn't an escape, it's maintenance. After spending time with people, your mind needs to declutter the noise, to reorder thoughts, to breathe again. While others recharge through constant company, you recharge through silence. You don't despise people, you simply value your inner energy. You understand that every interaction costs something, and not every conversation deserves that cost. This is why the Stoics practiced retreat within the self, moments of reflection and journaling to regain clarity. You function the same way. Your solitude is not emptiness. It's a sacred workshop where your thoughts realign with your values. Trait 4. You are fiercely independent and free from approval. Epictetus said, "He who seeks approval from others puts his happiness in their keeping." That's the opposite of Stoic freedom. The fewer friends you have, the more you learn to stand on your own judgment. You don't need constant validation, company, or attention. You think for yourself, and that makes you rare. Society trains people to seek applause, to post every thought, to prove their worth, to collect likes as a substitute for meaning. But you prefer the applause of your own conscience. You follow your principles, even if no one is watching. You're not lonely, or you're sovereign. And this independence often intimidates others, because when someone doesn't depend on approval, they become unpredictable, uncontrollable. People who need crowds will never understand the quiet strength of those who don't. This is the essence of Stoicism, the ability to be complete within yourself. You are not cold, you are composed, you are not detached, you are disciplined. And that inner discipline protects your peace from being negotiated away for acceptance. Trait 5. You trust carefully because experience taught you to. The Stoics didn't believe in naive optimism. They taught that trust must be earned through virtue, through consistent action. If you have few friends, chances are your past has taught you the cost of misplaced trust. Betrayal, rejection, disappointment. Each experience sharpened your intuition. Now, you observe before opening up. You listen before revealing. You prefer to see how someone behaves under pressure before you call them a friend. This is not bitterness, it's wisdom. As Epictetus said, be slow to trust, but never in malice. You understand that love without discernment becomes self-destruction, so your circle is small, but sacred, because when you finally let someone in, your loyalty is absolute. A Stoic heart is like a fortress, open gates for the virtuous, closed walls against deceit. That's not coldness, and that's preservation of the soul. So what does all this say about you? It means your solitude isn't a curse. It's a consequence of depth. You perceive what others ignore. You feel what others disguise. You think before you speak, and you act with intention. The modern world confuses this with loneliness, but the Stoics saw it for what it truly is: self-command. You are not avoiding the world. You are preparing yourself to face it with clarity. And yes, sometimes the strongest souls walk alone for a while, but those who walk alone with purpose never remain lost. They simply walk farther than most are willing to go. So if you've ever looked around and wondered why it feels like no one truly understands you, remember, you're not broken. You're becoming. You're cultivating virtues that few have the courage to live by: honesty, depth, self-mastery, independence, and discernment. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. And that's exactly what you're doing. Quietly, consistently, even if no one notices. If this message resonates with you, take a moment to breathe. And remember, your path doesn't need approval to be worthy. And if you want to keep growing in this journey of inner strength and calm, subscribe to Stoic Spring. Because by creating the habit of caring for your inner peace, you're not just watching another video. You're training your mind to live with clarity, purpose, and freedom.